Welcome to the Simplified Stamper. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well, staying safe at home. I have a couple of videos that I had recorded some time ago and I've just never posted them and never did the voiceovers for them. So I thought this is just as a good time as any now that we're all at home. So I was going to bring this one to you. I really love how this card turns out, and I hope you enjoy it as well. This is specifically probably geared to the newer stamper who doesn't have a lot of supplies. And one of the things that I suggest for people who don't have a lot, and I'm actually like that too. I'm very specific at what I purchase and what I spend my money on. And I don't have a ton of money to spend on things. So masks or stencils are one of my best friends because when you don't have a lot of decorative paper, they really help to create some great backgrounds that give dimension and different patterns without spending money on decorative paper. And decorative paper isn't too bad, but you have to start somewhere. And when you're first starting out, you obviously want more stamps than you want to go out and spend on paper. So stencils are great that way. I'm using the makeup brushes for blending. They became really popular last year. If you don't have makeup brushes for blending, you need them, but you don't need to spend a lot of money on them. These ones were purchased on Amazon for $10. I think there's 8. My favorite ones are the first 3 of the 8 because they're bigger. So I should probably buy another set just to have them. You notice I didn't put a lot of effort into getting the color on that cardstock, and you'll see how beautiful the stencil turned out on there. It was like effortless, and then it turns out so pretty. Look how pretty that turned out. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm taking the stencil, and there it's back on top of the blue that I put on. Then I'm going to just offset it just a little bit so all the blue is behind the stencil and I can see white through the stencil again. And then what I'm going to do is use that washi tape to pin that down again, and then I'm going to change colors. Often people ask, well, how do you wash your blending brushes? I do not. I just blend them on the paper until ink doesn't come off on them anymore. I have, since I've gotten these and since I've used them for this video, I have labeled them red, blue, yellow, and green for the first 4 largest ones in that set, because that way you can just use them for the color families. So all the red colors of my pads, get the red brush, blues, that kind of thing. But when I'm done, all I do is just rub it on the paper until the ink stops coming off. You can actually wash them if you need to, but then they take forever to dry. And I've washed one of them once because I accidentally dipped it in the wrong color. Other than that, I don't wash them. But you'll see here when I take off the stencil that it gives 2 tones of color. Isn't that so pretty? I really love that. Okay, so now we're going to add our sentiment to this card. And this is the Genuine Gems from Stampin' Up! It came out last year during Celebration, and I told the universe to send some awesome to you, some awesome your way, is the entire reason I bought that stamp set. I absolutely love that sentiment, and there's so many different events that you can use that for. That's birthday, there's someone that's not feeling well, or maybe someone's having a difficult season, and right now we're all stuck at home and we can't hang out, or you can't just have coffee with your girlfriend or whatever. And then I think this sentiment is perfect for something like that. I can't be there, but I just want the universe to send you some awesome, and I think it's great. Often when I do sentiments, I use my Stamparatus, my stamp positioning tool, but this one just always stamps so perfect that I didn't even have to use that with this. What I end up doing with this sentiment is I cut it into strips and then cut those strips down just to make sure there's as little bit of white around them as possible, because I just want the words highlighted here. So you'll see that I just cut this into strips and then cut them off the paper. And then all my removing of the white and stuff I do off camera. I have to say that watching all of them, when I cut them all off the paper, that's kind of like, my daughter would love this. It's like sensory happiness watching them all come off the paper like that. But I did off camera with all the other trimmings. That way you didn't have to watch that. Isn't that cool? Anyway, so then I went ahead and added dimensional tape to the back of all of those, just to give them some dimension off of the card panel. Then I go ahead and arrange these in the order that they go when you read them, because I have to kind of dummy proof them sometimes, so you don't end up putting them in the wrong order without thinking. I have done that before. So I'm over here, you see me arrange the sentence to make sure that I don't put them in the wrong order. And on other cards that I have done in the past, I've done the sentiment and stamped it 5 different times with 5 different colors. And then when I cut them down, each line of text could be in a different color, and that's really fun for birthdays or different celebrations and things like that. This, I was just trying to make it simple with 2 colors, without a whole lot of, extras and a lot of thought. So here I'm just trying to figure out where I want to put them on my card panel. Now, you could stamp this directly onto your card without putting it on a panel, but I almost always stamp on a card panel. It just makes it easier, and in the event you were to mess something up, you haven't destroyed your actual card base. Now, this card panel was the regular weight cardstock from Stampin' Up, and I really do like that for stamping on. It holds ink very well and that type of thing. For my card panels, my card bases, sorry, I actually special order mine from Amazon. They have it. I'll have to get the information for you guys and put it at the end of the video. It's a really super heavyweight cardstock. I've used it and shown it you guys in other videos. I think it's the very best cardstock you can find. It really has a substantial weight. So when people hold on to it, they're like, this is a nice card. So I really like to use that. And see, doesn't that look great? I love that, how that turned out. And then to embellish the card, my suggestion, well, here you're going to see on the back of that panel, I'm adding 2 little pieces of tearing tape. That tearing tape is going to help me hold my baker's twine in, like, secure to the card. Baker's twine is one of my go-tos in a lot of my cards. It's actually one of the cheapest embellishments that you can get, and it really adds a lot of texture, and without a lot of bulk, because you're trying to get this into an envelope without having to pay extra postage, but you're trying to get texture and some different levels, layers of interest when you're making your card. So baker's twine is something I use a lot of. This particular roll of baker's twine, I got it from Stampin' Up. That has been long since gone, and I don't buy it from them anymore because I use so much of it that I buy it in bulk. So I have a supplier that I get it from. And then I tied a bow on there off camera because no one needs to watch me suffer watching me try to tie a bow with baker's twine, because I'm very finicky and it takes forever. So there's that. And then I'm going to go ahead and put some more dimensionals on the back of this card panel, so that way I can pop it up on the card base. And there's our card base. I'm going to fold that there in half. I had already had it scored. And then what I'm going to do is, you can see me put more dimensionals. I know some people, they're very wary about doing multiple layers of dimensionals because of shipping, having things put in the mail. I've never had a problem with 2 layers of dimensionals going through the mail. So this would be layer 1, and then the individual sentiments are even a little bit higher up off of the card. So that would be layer 2 of dimensionals. I've never, as long as it's not more than 2, I've never had a hard time with them going through the mail. So then the last thing I'm going to do here is use some of my, what are these things called? Dots, like I don't know what, they're not sequins. They're like, there's a name for them now. I can't think of what they're called. But anyway, I really like these because they're clear actually, and they don't have a lot of color. So I use them with a lot of things because they'll just go with everything. So, I'm going to do 3 of those. You always do in threes, 5, 7. That 7 would be a lot though, wouldn't it? But anyway, so there's the finished card. It's super easy, super fun. And then I went ahead and did another card that was the exact same thing, but it featured the other color. So I hope you really enjoyed seeing this. I hope you're having a safe quarantine, and I shall talk to you later. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. You can find more of the Simplified Stamper on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest.